Hello. Oh, shoot. Again, somehow the orientation of this got locked vertical. Oh, well. Happy Sunday. I'm on like a half an hour earlier than I thought I was going to be. You know, life is unpredictable. Schedules are crazy. So just doing this when I can do it. Welcome. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is doing as well as can be. It's been another wildly eventful week in 2020. Yeah. Hello, Amanda. Curious what y'all are going through, doing. I'm eating a little bit of leftovers right now. I hope you'll forgive me. Um, yeah. How is everyone? Hi, Maria. My week's been okay. Hello, Lilo. Hi, Shannon. Um, I'm doing all right, Amina. Yay, Marguerite. Get rid of that thing. That thing don't matter. That's a big step. Great job. And great job just like enduring the discomfort that comes from letting go of something that has sort of served a purpose for you for a while, even if the purpose, you know, isn't great. What's going on with everyone? Things are good here. Busy. Hi, Megan. Lots of teaching over Zoom, which is super fun. And I mean that actually. I actually do mean that. I'm enjoying teaching over Zoom. Weirdly. Yes. Yeah, letting go of habits that help us feel safe and trying new things is incredibly scary. I completely understand or relate to. I guess I won't say understand. Everyone has a different experience, but I relate to that experience of letting go what provided comfort, even if that comfort came at a price, like anxiety and all of that. Amanda, you've been feeling stressed. Yeah, it is tough when we change our habits, when we change our routines, especially when they're connected to eating disorders. Like, at least for me, it can feel really scary and really unknown, and like, even though it's one small thing, it feels like everything kind of blows out of control, which I know isn't true, but the feeling feels like that. So I really admire you for enduring those tough feelings. It's amazing what we can get through and what we can endure, how much discomfort that we can sit through and survive, you know? And I admire you for taking that risk, for going on that journey. Wow, it can be real hard. Feeling like everything is going wrong all at once. Yeah, that is 2020 in a nutshell, isn't it? Hey, good on that, Lilo. And it sounds like your brother was, trying to show love in a way that he knew how. And good on you for accepting that. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, that's okay too. You know? Taking risks, trying new things, it's all super important. Oh, good, you did enjoy it. Awesome. Yay, Julie, congratulations. Tips for reaching out to a therapist for a first time. Ooh, I would love to group crowdsource this. It can feel kind of intimidating, right? Sometimes, or just like it's like a first date, but like amped up. Um, oh, Milani, oh boy. You know what? Proud of you. You're doing amazing. And I'm sorry you had to hear that comment, but you're getting your life back. You are. You're a badass. Okay. Tips for first time with therapists. Sometimes like maybe like writing out things. Nice, Amanda. Yeah, it is anxiety provoking. For me, it always like feels like a first date. Yes, Abigail. Yeah, being as honest as you feel comfortable. Sometimes like making a list of things you want to talk about. And then like know that you don't have to fill the whole time, right? You can ask them questions. Like you can ask your therapist, like, what strategies do you think might help me? Like what do you see as a plan? How does this work? You know? Yeah. Writing things down. I like to acknowledge, like, for me, I feel really uncomfortable at the beginning and the end of sessions. I don't like, I really feel I really don't like I want to have like a dialogue, right? Like I want to be like, how are you? What's going on with you? And that's not exactly the nature of that relationship. Although I've had some therapists be like, you can ask me how I am. You can ask me that. So sometimes I'll just be like, I just want to ask how your family is, you know? But I like to acknowledge like, hey, I feel really uncomfortable at the beginning of sessions, and I feel really uncomfortable at the end of sessions. And sometimes just speaking it can help. Just being like, hey, I'm really nervous. Like, and then I think, I don't know, I wonder what it would be like for you to like write down your fears. Like, what are the biggest fears that you have going into it? And maybe even tell them. Yeah, I think it's really great that there are a couple of you who are gonna sign up with some therapists. That's awesome. Fear foods. Yeah, I think I found in earlier recovery that it was easier to eat fear foods if on days where I guess I felt, I don't know how to say this, like, okay, I think I have the thought formed. For instance, when I was like moving away from my meal plan into intuitive eating, if I was gonna try a fear food or something like that, I would probably like follow my meal plan at the beginning half of the day, and then when the opportunity came to have the fear food, I would let that be intuitive eating meal, just to sort of ease my way into the waters a little bit. Sometimes that helped. Being around like it helped to do something fun after the meal, or like something that would take my mind off of it, like watching a movie or playing a game, or I don't know, going to a class or something. Like being mindful about when I was exploring the fear food, so that I wasn't going to have a fear food and then just sort of be able to sit with my anxiety after and kind of dwell on it. I don't know if that makes sense. Those are some things that have worked for me in the past. I'll be curious what other people say. Oh, Yari. Um, well, I hope we can encourage you to reach out to a doctor for some support because you deserve it. You know, you deserve it. Everyone deserves it. And I understand the fear around it, very, very much so. Um, but, you know, I think you have your whole life to gain, you know, from doing it. And it's a really brave act, a really sort of like punk rock act of self-love to reach out and to do that. And I'm rooting for you. And I hope you can find the support you need, you know? Yeah. Chloe, yeah, feeling like you miss the eating disorder. Yeah, yeah, I think I get that. I don't know. There's um maybe it's like when we go through a breakup and then like 6 months after you kind of like are feeling a little lonely and all of a sudden the things that were bad about it are farther from your mind, but you remember the good stuff. I wonder if there's some of that that goes on when we sort of romanticize our time with our eating disorder. Um, I find that I start thinking about my eating disorder in that way when I'm bored, when I feel like I don't have control over my professional life or my career life, when my self image is sort of struggling, and then that sort of romanticism will, you know, kind of come back into play for me. Yeah, it is like a toxic relationship with your own mind. And I think it's like really great to just sort of watch the thought and be like, oh, interesting, I'm having this. I wonder what's going on in my life that this is seeming like something good. Am I lonely? Am I bored? Am I frustrated? Am I depressed? Like what's going on that for some reason my brain thinks this eating disorder might fix. That's sort of what I think of. Um, but I think that's normal. I think that's a normal process of like letting go and moving on and developing new coping mechanisms and ways of being in the world, you know? I don't know if I've met anyone who hasn't had that sort of moment. Uh-oh. Lisa, I'm so sorry that you're having to hear language like that. Um, you know, it can be so hard with people who don't have experience in this world to understand how damaging words like that can be. And what you're doing is a really brave thing. And I'm sorry that it wasn't met with like, wow, you're doing amazing, and this is such a positive thing for your life and your brain and your future. I'm sorry that what you got served back was that phobia. It's really tough. It's really tough. Does anyone have suggestions for hearing comments like that? Hearing really triggering comments like that? Oh, Karen. You didn't lose the opportunity, though, I would guess. I guess I don't know your parents, so I can't say that outright. But I would imagine that if you go to them and say, yeah, and say, hey, I could really actually use some support for this, I would hope that they might meet you there and say, okay, you know, how can we help? You know, sometimes it helps to have like a concrete plan, like a therapist or a treatment center or something that you have to sort of say, here, here's what I think might help me. Would you support me in accessing this? You know. Oh, congrats, Maria. That's great. Does anyone else have experience asking for help from family? Yeah, there is so much strength in asking for help. Yeah, I think that's a big stage of recovery and moving from the eating disorder into a recovery space. You know, feeling like you want it, but you also kind of don't want it, and you want, and it's becoming really tough to exist the way you've existed before. But the idea of changing coping mechanisms and sort of disrupting the pattern is really scary. Um, I think it's cool that you're having the thoughts that you want to recover. I would just be mindful when those come up and see how long you can stay in those thoughts, right? Um, oh, Karen, I'm so sorry. There are a lot of healthcare professionals who are behind the curve in terms of mental health and wellness care, and I'm really sorry that you had such a traumatic experience like that. It's got to be so soul crushing to ask for help and not be met, you know. Um, but I would couple that with you deserve to get support, and there are great therapists out there, and especially now, um, you have the ability to, with the internet and virtual support, there's the ability to reach therapists from all over the country, um, who might have different perspectives. So maybe um, doing a little bit of research if you have the energy, or asking a friend to help you do some research, um, um, and following, looking at what their worldview is and what their, yeah. Um, but, if your parents, yeah, I understand. There's a list, Karen, of virtual support groups. It's up on our website. And if you go to my Instagram, actually, and you click the link, there's the list is linked there as well. And there are free virtual support groups that you can check out every day, to kind of be there and support you if you don't feel quite ready, or like you have the resources to talk to a one-on-one therapist. A lot of incredible support can be found in group therapy sessions, a lot of community and connection. So, I'd recommend maybe if you can, starting with that, and also say, like, good on you for joining this chat today. It really demonstrates that there's something in you that wants a change, that wants to get your life back, I saw a TikTok question. I don't do TikTok, so I don't feel like I can speak to that. I don't really understand TikTok. I'm old. Yeah, Karen. Yeah, well, you got to take it at your own speed, you got to take it at your own speed. As someone who has dealt with this for a long time, I wish I had gotten help earlier, It can feel like everything in life is more important than dealing with mental health, but really, your mental and physical health shapes all of your experiences. And I wish I had been much farther along in my recovery when I was in college. Would have made my experience better. So giving you a gentle nudge to seek support, and maybe just try out like one support group a week online and see if you like it or not. It's up to you. It's your journey. You're driving your car. You're driving the car of your life. So it's up to you. But yeah. A lot of universities do provide free counseling, and they can be really great resources. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to make the leap, but it's an important one to make. And life is short, and there are so many more important things to spend our brain power on than trying to make ourselves smaller. Especially this year with everything that's going on, I'm like, wow. I really want to not be focusing on food and body and shape, you know. Um, Well, that's great. The Mental Health Society. That's awesome. Hopefully, they can be a good, supportive community for you. Yeah, any community, well, not any community, but community in general is great. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you have a great university therapist, Chloe. Um, that's really awesome. Yeah, UWU. Yeah, it takes a long time to sort of rewire our impulses and make it so that choosing recovery is just as instinctive as choosing the eating disorder. It takes a while, so I understand your frustration with that. And I would say just the more you can keep practicing making the recovery based choice, the more you can practice that, um, the stronger those synapses and those impulses and those coping mechanisms are going to get for you. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to have an eating disorder thought pop up in your life. Um, but the more you can exercise the tools of recovery, the stronger you'll be to combat those thoughts when they come up again in the future. But I understand it feeling overwhelming and exhausting. It is exhausting. It can be. It can be exhausting. But the harder you work at it, it's like I don't. What is it like? I'm not sure what it's like. Maybe it's like nothing else in the world. But it's like the more that you work on it and practice it, you know. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely not a straight line. It's definitely not a straight line. And it's hard when we let go of coping mechanisms that have served us. Even if they've hurt us while serving us, they've still served a purpose in our lives. And taking those away or experimenting with letting those go can be really scary and can trigger a lot of anxiety and depression and, um, you know, identity issues. But the thing is we're strong enough to get through that and we can withstand that discomfort. That discomfort won't kill us. The eating disorder can, but the discomfort won't. And we can survive that and we're strong enough to. And you're all strong enough to, you know. Um, and there's so much more life and brain space and joy on the other side of the eating disorder, and there's also going to be pain and heartbreak and disappointment and boredom on the other side of the eating disorder too. That's the thing. Recovery doesn't equal a shiny perfect life, right? It just equals a life. So there are downs that come with being present in your life because it's hard. When your biggest concern becomes something more than your shape and food, all of a sudden there's so much more to think about and worry about, and it can be really overwhelming. Um, yeah, but the EDs feel natural. Yeah, yeah, I understand being so long in the eating disorder that it feels natural, but when we're born, babies, they just eat what they need to eat and then they do their thing, you know what I mean? Um, Anna, that's great being that long binge free. And just because you had a slip up doesn't mean you're not still on the recovery path. It's part of it. So you got some information with that, you learned some things. Um, and you're still on the right track. You've still got all those tools that you worked on. You've still got all that progress. You're not back at the beginning. You keep moving right along, you know? And it's never going to be perfect. And so every time we have a slip up, it's an opportunity to practice um, self compassion and to practice getting sort of back on the horse of recovery and just staying true to it, not beating ourselves up, knowing that our bodies are resilient and can handle flexibility and can handle things like that, and that all people, even people without eating disorders, have times when they binge. I mean, look at Thanksgiving, for example. So it's okay, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just a thing that happened, and you are strong enough and have enough power to move on from it, and to and to keep going. I really do believe that. Um, oh, Kate, yeah, and I don't say that to guilt anyone. I understand. Trust me, I understand how the eating disorder works and how all consuming can become in your brain. And I don't think that guilt or shame um, is useful. In fact, it's a tool that the eating disorder uses to sort of keep us trapped in a cycle. Your pain, our pain, is all valid, even while the world is chaos. That pain is really valid, and that's why we deserve support. To deserve some support and tools to help us. And it's like the thing, like, before we can think about helping solve the problems of the world, we do need to get our mental health in check, because we're not going to be useful without that. So take this time to focus on you, and that's great, and that's radical, and that is an act of rebellion to really focus on healing and getting right with your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your brain and your body and food. It's a really valid place to be. It's a really important thing to do, both for yourself and for your relationships and for the world, and for the intention of crashing fat phobia and smashing the patriarchy and all of that good stuff we want to do. We need you to be healthy. Lisa, that's great. That sounds like some really good progress. I hope you have some support of a therapist or dietitian or group to help you along with that. That sounds like a really big accomplishment. So congratulations. That's really awesome. That's really awesome. I hope it feels good. Yeah. This is a tough year, and I think we all deserve Medal of Honor for getting through it. It's tough. It's tough, and it's going to make us stronger and hopefully more empathetic, engaged citizens of the world. Shannon, my heart goes out to you. That sounds like a tough intersection of illnesses to be dealing with. I'm sure most of us here can relate to having a tough time with a meal plan. I know I certainly can. It can feel, yeah. And that feeling of I'm not really sick, I'm not really that sick, is such a insidious part of this illness and part of what eating disorders, how they warp our brains and put their claws into us and sort of manipulate and control us. And it's a really big bummer. But, I think that being in the struggle is okay, and acknowledging that it's hard and you're doing hard work and you're doing good work, and that it doesn't have to be perfect, but that you are deserving of the time to heal and to get well. And know that you're not alone in questioning that sometimes. It's part of it, and we just have to sort of observe those feelings, observe those thoughts, and watch them sort of trickle down the stream in front of us and go off. We are not our thoughts. I say this a lot, but I like the exercise. I am having the thought that I am not sick. I'm having the thought that I don't want to do my meal plan, because you're not your thought, right? A thought is something that you're having. And you don't have to act on your thoughts. We don't have to act on them. So divorcing yourself from ownership with the thoughts can be really powerful. I am having the thought that I don't want to eat this. I am having the thought that I'm shameful for binging. It's just a thought that you're having. It's not the truth, right? That can be really Yeah, I like that, Maria. For me, recovery feels like discovering who I truly am and accepting it. I love that. I think that's sort of recovery in its best case scenario, you know, um, because the eating disorder robs us of our brain and our body and our emotions and our complexities and our empathy. It robs us, it sucks the life out of us. And so, recovery in its best form gives us that back in a really genuine, complicated way. Because some of that stuff we get back is hard, you know? Some of that stuff is really hard. Um, but we're strong enough to endure it, we're strong enough to get through it. We are. Y'all are. Thanks for joining me today. It was really nice to check in with you all. What can we practice 5% more of this week? For me, I'm gonna practice 5% more slowing down before I act on impulses. I'm just gonna invite in, how about this? 5% more breath and pause. You know, to sort of slow down. We have a thought, we have an impulse, and then we do an action. And I want to just slow that down and kind of look at it and be in it. And I wonder if you all can practice 5% more of something related to recovery this week as well. Yeah, I like that, Julie. That's really great. 5% more honesty with people around me. Yeah, that's radical. That's great. Yeah, things can feel fast and they're not an emergency. We just got to slow them down. I struggle with that, so I'm going to work on it this week if you want to join me. Awesome, folks. Well, I haven't had my cup of coffee today, as I'm sure you can tell. These lovely bags under my eyes. So I'm going to get a cup of coffee and try to get my day rolling, rocking and rolling here. It was really wonderful to check in with you all. You all have the strength and the power to do this. You deserve support. You deserve connection and community. I encourage you all to find a virtual support group you can pop into at some point this week just to have a little more community and accountability and to keep fighting to get your brains back. Awesome. I'm here sending you all sorts of cheers and excitements, and I'll see you next week. Mwah.